Wonderful to see you all. Hello there, all of you in Queenstown. That's great. Thank you again for the warm invitation to speak some words of Dharma, and it's a real blessing and a real delight to share this teaching with so many wonderfully dedicated practitioners all over the world. So terrific! What an international crew. That was great. So without any further ado, today the subjects of the four thoughts that turn the mind from samsara, and also the four brahmaviharas, or the four immeasurables, or the four illimitables. What they have different translations. These great teachings. So let's start off with such a high aspiration that can reach the hearts of all beings, and I think you have that on the chat box. That's the bodhicitta prayer, the short little bodhicitta prayer that I sent you there, Travis. That's great.
I was letting people in the room still.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, with loving kindness and compassion, we generate bodhicitta so that all beings may attain the awakening of Buddhahood. With loving kindness and compassion, we generate bodhicitta so that all beings may attain the awakening of Buddhahood. And I quite like the Tibetans, so I'm going to chant that. Drokung Sangye Changchu Topche Chir Chamdang Nije Changchu Samke Do is beautiful, and that encompasses, of course, everything that is going to be talked about today. So I've been practicing that many times a day for the last month, and it just resonates with me. So it's beautiful. So you have that on the chat box, and for some, maybe take that away and work with that. I'd like to return. Some of you weren't here yesterday, but I want to return to a point that Daryl. Daryl, are you there today in Queenstown? I think he's maybe missing. Not so. Well, anyways, I'm going to. Daryl's asking an interesting question, but I just want to say that to jump to something for many beings, to the types of statements, the meditations, the profundity, the realization, a declaration of realization, like the Heart Sutra, that says statements like there is no enlightenment, there is no suffering, and so on, is extremely difficult for many beings. It may not address their difficulties, and also, even for those that are highly practiced, they may not be getting the kind of gradual stages that are required to even make a jump or a leap into that, and even find that. But anyways, what I want to mention is something that was a great gift of Namgyal Rinpoche. And Namgyal Rinpoche taught all three cycles of the Buddha Dharma, including Burmese Vipassana and Thai Dharmakaya Siddha meditation of the Central Channel. He taught Vajrayana practices, Zen, all kinds of practices, including science and art and everything else. And one thing that I noticed about that Namgyal Rinpoche would do is he would make, in a sense, a cycle through all these three cycles of Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana. But his view, and what he held all the time, was a great profound view. That was what he emanated. That's often what he explained. So he also realized that beings needed to ripen to this view and to the meditation. So therefore, Namgyal Rinpoche took people on trips and travel, had them engage in craft and dance and song and all kinds of things, yoga, everything else, as a way of building capacity, merit, strength, accumulation, and skills. He once said to me, I need you to teach science, and he taught history and taught philosophy. He says, so many people that are practicing don't know where they came from. They don't know their history. They don't know anything about science. They don't know anything about language, and so on. So knowledge and understanding also gives context. Traveling, meeting other people, learning different languages, all kinds of things ripen beings into a great roundness. So too, I think of the monastic walk in the morning to with the alms bowl to get food, and how profound. I've never done that, but how profound that would be to arise in the morning, get dressed, and actually go on an exploration of the village and receive food and take it back. What an amazing experience of contemplation, enriching, and giving. Wow. So beings have to ripen. They have to gather all kinds of capacity and strength, and that is merit and accumulating wisdom, and wisdom through practicality. So I wanted to mention that is something that I experience, something that I follow in, that those footsteps, and we all enter the path. We continue along the path of Dharma at different places with different strengths, capacities, and understandings. So now turning to the 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara. And for those that don't know, I think almost everybody there probably listening today has a pretty good understanding of the word, Sanskrit word samsara. To wander, to cycle about, to take rebirth, but to cycle about again and again and again. And samsara can also refer to this life as well, where we cycle through concepts, ideas, ideologies, searching for happiness, searching for freedom, waking up in the morning, a repetitive cycle, on and on and on, and how to come out of that. Now, all Indian and Tibetan traditions of Buddhism have some kind of 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara. Either formulated, not formulated, but they get really formulated as a package in the Indian Buddhist tradition, eventually, of course, taken to Tibet. And you'll see all kinds of variations, but every variation of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara, which is taught first, that's that important. Every school, every lineage, every subsect, everything has it. And you can pick up any path text, Lamrim text, Atisha, Tsongkhapa, Gampopa, Nyingma texts. They spend a lot of time on these 4 thoughts that turn the mind from, because they're that profound. Another title which I've seen elsewhere, I think it was explained in a commentary, Nyingma commentary, on the 4 thoughts, is the 4 powerful antidotes to clinging, the 4 powerful antidotes to attachment. So this is where it ties into the 4 Noble Truths. The 4 Noble Truths, as far as I understand, as a standalone meditation, is hardly ever taught. It's too difficult. Hardly anybody can approach it. So if you remember from yesterday, when the Buddha taught it, only one of his disciples out of 5 got it. Doesn't mean they didn't get it later. But the directness of it, the ability, the requirement to have qualities to support it, support the unfolding of that, must be recognized. So these 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara completely linked into the 4 Noble Truths as a support. So we need antidotes, use antidotes, and realize how important they are in our lives. The 4 thoughts that turn the mind, I would say, from what I have read and my own personal experience, reading the lives of biographies of saints and so on, simply becomes more profound, more deep, becomes so high as the years go by, and you're going, well, please introduce me to mind's nature. Please, let's do the formless Mahamudra and Dzogchen practices. And then the more you do that, the more you realize this is really high. This is really like profound Dharma. And one's compassion grows. It also helps quench the 8 worldly concerns. Traditionally, a lot of us tend to be involved in 8 different worries and concerns due to any century of conditioning. Doesn't matter. We'll have them, including sometimes even as a monastic, for sure. Is these experiences of having to profit, having to gain a profit if you're in business, or you're running a corporation, even if it's not yours, having to turn a profit. Even as a householder, you have to make sure you're turning a profit, at least not losing too much, or you become bankrupt. That can be a big concern for a lot of people, for sure. Used to be mine in business, every month, profit and loss statements, sometimes every week. Yeah, loss. Then there's loss, concern about loss. Loss of this, loss of that. Used to be you could be concerned about the loss of your jewelry, loss of your money, robbers, and so on. Today it's a stock market crash or run on a bank. Could be anything. But loss can hit people. Loss of loved ones, loss of property, loss of life, all these kinds of things. And then a seeking for pleasure, not getting it, or getting it and then losing it, and having pain and having to deal with pain, which is do your stats, folks, and see how many people in North America, U.S. has good numbers on this, see how many people are in pain every single day, all day long. Check it out. Go do the numbers. Pain, mental illness, just add it up. You'll come to a really amazing conclusion. Yeah. Pain. Fame. Having to deal with fame. How many students did we have yesterday? How many students will be on Zoom tomorrow? Is it enough? Is it not enough? Too few? Too many? Yeah. Fame. Fame and fortune. Defamation, being done in. Being given strong words or being taken down. That's quite common. Very common today. Praise. So having to deal with praise and having to deal with blame. Most human beings are cycling through those worries on a constant basis. The 4 thoughts that turn the mind really help put it in perspective enough. It still doesn't mean you don't do a profit and loss statement every month. And you don't and by the way, make sure you keep your bookkeeper and you have a good accountant. That will take some of the worries off it. Okay. So I call it swinging from pillar to post by worries and flurries and concerns, and they vanish and they come back and so on. So how to straighten that out? How to straighten out the raging afflictions and the normal worldly concerns that human beings have had for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So to say to somebody, stop clinging, doesn't work. If I just say to you, you're having a problem, stop clinging. It is very difficult unless you're a really, really superb practitioner that can go, wow, thank you, boom. But actually, one has to soften the clinging. One has to give it a massage. And we need to know why there's clinging. So the first about the Four Noble Truths, which is also in the 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara, right at the very end, is why this clinging. And if we back it up, this comes from the Abhidhamma teaching and all the Vipassana traditions. If we just back it up one step, this is called insight, or Vipassana. I'm not really keen on the word insight. Jnana, wisdom, causal wisdom. If you back up clinging and attachment one step, it's greed, hatred, and delusion. Or the longer version is the 5 poisons: greed, hate, delusion, pride, and jealousy. That's it. And once you get the feeling of that, that's where it all comes from. When the greed, when the clinging and the attachment is softened and is actually a bit more wholesome, then we have 3 positive roots, which is, most of you know this, right? Studied well, is you have an outflowing of generosity, you have loving kindness and compassion, and you have clarity and causal wisdom. This is fantastic. It's that straightforward. Yeah? If you want to build an institution, if you want to work in government, you want to work in corporate life and so on, work in any kind of organization, including Dharma centers, what's ruling it behind the scenes, right in front of your face, behind the scenes? There's only 6 things at any given moment that are ruling anything that we're involved in. The 3 wholesome roots, the 3 unwholesome roots. That's our major work for purification. If we want to really purify greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy, and turning those into positive attributes, that's strength. And that's why we need the precepts. That's why we need tantric precepts. That's why we need our Mahayana precepts, our Bodhisattva vow. We need to actually study and practice. So that's really important. So you see in the 4 thoughts that turn the mind from samsara, down near the bottom, most of them have this. In order for this body with leisure and wealth possess meaning, I will abandon the 3 non-virtuous poisonous afflictions. That's cause and effect. That is one of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Karma. Where does karma come from? The mental activity of those 6 roots. Wholesome, unwholesome. They build beatific minds. They can build unwholesome mind. They can build really bad mind. And as we know today in our world, which has not been any different from thousands of years ago and every single century, it can really build an evil mind that says something like, I think I'm going to continue until every single Ukrainian's dead. How's that for an evil mind? Yeah? That's not new. It's been around for millennia. And it's the inner thoughts of many nice people, except that they don't have the weaponry and they don't have the power. So, I'll come back to some other points, but let's list them. The rare and precious human body. Rare and precious human body. This straightens things out. Number 2, death and impermanence, which is actually a most profound wisdom practice, standard, classic vipassana, penetrative vipassana practice. Number 3, cause and effect, karma. Karma vipaka, penetrating and studying it deeply. And number 4, considering the faults or the sufferings, the deficits of samsara. These 4, if you really take them on, you read the commentaries, you really go into it, it will probably make you weep, but they'll also give you the strength to say, I got to get on with it. I got to make this a meaningful life. I've got to really get on with it because not only do I need to become free of this, but I need to help all the beings I love, and that means cherish all the beings that I don't even know who are in the same boat. So really how it blossoms, just so all of you understand, be good to take a few courses in Abhidhamma, maybe 3 months here and 3 months there, but really it just blossoms from the 4 Noble Truths. Where does the craving coming from? Where's the attachment coming from? The three unwholesome roots. Where does it come less? The 3 wholesome roots. Okay, fine. After that, how do we get out of that? We have to use antidotes, and those antidotes are always built up of the 37 factors of enlightenment. This is straightforward. That's it. We go from unwholesome and wholesome to more wholesome, beatific states, more beatific states, understanding how beatific states occur, discovering transcendent states that have no conditionality, no basis, unborn, totally free. And we go, oh, that's really good. So that's the path. And all those teachings, all those 84,000 teachings of Dharma and different practices are to support the flowering of that, so that beings wish to have the skill and the abilities to liberate other beings. Of course, in there is the parami, which is also in the 37 factors of enlightenment. So it's quite, I recommend that one receives teaching on the four thoughts that turn the mind, more than this, but from the commentaries of, for instance, the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, or the Stage of the Path by Atisha, or Tsongkhapa, Words of My Perfect Teacher by Palta Rinpoche. They have these wonderful, deep contemplations in them. Even though they may be very Tibetan and very Indian, you can still derive such power, and they really move you. They're both meditations and contemplations. So ask your teachers, whoever your teachers are, to every once in a while, please teacher, please lama, please guru, would you please give extensive commentary on the four thoughts that turn the mind from samsara, because I'm a little bit lost, or I'm a little bit lazy, or I think I can put everything off for a few years from now before I go into retreat. So they're scattered everywhere. So you'll find the Visuddhimagga, the Vimuttimagga, every Lamrim text, and so on. They're all over. Beautiful commentaries. So number one, the rare and precious body. Now, I've also given a handout, I think it's gone out, the 18 Freedoms and Advantages of a Human Being. Yeah. I love reading this one. A human being is endowed with extraordinary capabilities, even if you're poor, if you're rich, if you're sick. We have this amazing body-mind, considered to be very beneficial for liberation. So the 18 freedoms, starting with 8 freedoms. These are the states. We happen to find ourselves in the human state, which has a body, a mind, a structure, an energy body structure that is actually turns out quite suited to realize it, because it actually has all of the different realms, 6 realms in it. The hells. Anybody been through hell lately? Yep. Godlike realm lately? Yes. Animal, preta? Oh, yeah, all there. That's a very good thing. Okay, number 5, uncivilized lands. These are lands where war, pestilence, barbaric governance, and so on is so hard that you would not be able to practice Dharma. You'd be killed, you'd be impaled, burnt alive, chased out. You just can't practice the Dharma. Incomplete faculties. It used to be that if you're missing one of the 5 faculties, not possible, but I think today, of course, we now know that you can practice Dharma deeply, because the faculties can be nicely filled in. Number 7, wrong views. You could have a society that has such wonky wrong views that they're going to overswamp anything moving towards Dharma. That might sound familiar. Perhaps we're moving that way. Yeah. And 8, a Buddha has not come. That is, no enlightened being has not appeared in one's realm or in the time. We're very fortunate. We're still in the realm of the fully awakened Buddha, and the teaching is still continuing on today. I'm going to be very short on this. You can look up these in more detail. 10 advantages or circumstances. We're very fortunate. There was an incredible spiritual genius called Shakyamuni Buddha, and that is so extraordinary that we're still living in the radiance and illumination of his teachings. That's amazing. And from the Vajrayana standpoint, since so many of you are Vajrayana practitioners, from the Vajrayana practitioner standpoint, that radiance, which is also the Dharmakaya, gives rise through reflections. It's quite beautiful. Sometimes you'll read text that says you should consider your Lama or your Guru as a living Buddha. Well, they may not have the realization of living Buddha, but they have the reflections of the radiance of the Buddha. This is really beautiful, That's why I say you should see your teacher as living Buddha. Why? It puts the seeds of causality to realize Buddha nature, because in fact it must be your teacher, and even you, all of you out there and in here in this room today, are reflections in the hall of mirrors of the nature of the three kayas, three Buddha bodies. That's all it is. And actually, that's a meditative experience. Once you start to see human beings and all creatures as reflections, illuminated reflections of the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, this is a really extraordinary level by which you have loving kindness, compassion, and so on, and bodhicitta. The Buddha of this period has taught the Dharma. Hallelujah. Amazing. Every time I open suttas and sutras, I go, oh my goodness, oh my God. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Number 3, the teachings have survived. We're really lucky. They haven't been wiped out. Yeah. Number 4, the followers. There's actually followers of the teachings. There's actually people that have practiced so much that they can actually teach, guide, help, even today, 2,500 years later. That's really precious. And the conditions for Dharma practice are favorable. Wow, are we lucky? We could be in places, maybe here in Canada, New Zealand, I don't know, I hope not, I pray not, wherever you are, Guatemala, right? The States. I really pray that we can continue to practice Dharma freely, we can meditate, we can gather. The conditions are favorable. They may change tomorrow. Don't think they couldn't. They could change very quickly on this planet due to greed, hatred, and delusion. Monstrous greed, hatred, delusion. They call it papa in Sanskrit. Really bad stuff, which is happening all over the world today. Thank goodness there's lots of virtue, and there's lots of people with merit, and there's lots of beings with love and compassion, because a madness is walking the face of the planet today, again, as it always has for hundreds of thousands of years. And then 5 personal advantages. Being a human being. Born in a central land means, it refers to India and Tibet, it means you can travel to a place where the Dharma is taught. That's what it means. So we all are living in a central land, whereas there's times where you'd be so far away it was very, very hard to get to a place where the Dharma or teachers would be found. Faculties are intact. Number 4, lifestyle not harmful or wrong. Your lifestyle allows you to practice and study the Dharma. And number 5, faith and confidence in the 3 Pitakas. That is, faith and confidence in the Vinaya Pitaka, the history and rules of the monastic order, the discourses, the Buddha, and the Abhidhamma or Abhidharma. These 3, having confidence that these are really powerful tools, methods, and support for awakening. Okay, bring you that. The human being body, mind complex is easily lost. It's extremely fragile. As many of you know who've been sick or know others who have been sick, it can go in a flash or it can slowly decay away. We think we're fine today, we may not be tomorrow, and we could be even dead. Suddenly we're out in a fishing boat or something, having a great time, all joking and smiling, and bam! Lightning strike, or playing golf, which is quite common, or being eaten by an alligator playing golf. That's common in certain places, like or being bitten south of the border, or maybe in Australia, playing golf and being chased by crocodiles. Who knows? So, very easy. We seem to forget that sometimes. Very fragile, yet we're very resilient. Therefore, now at this time, make this life very meaningful and to self and others who are not separate. So the texts that are written have some element of that. It's, for instance, this one that you have here, we've circulated as this excellent body of mine with leisure and endowments will be difficult to obtain repeatedly in the future. That's the precious human body. And in the future rebirths may be very difficult. Or you think, oh, I'll be reborn similar to this. No, you may be reborn very ill. You may die at the age of 2. You may find yourself into a place where there's a viral epidemic or polio or something. You have no idea. So right now I will accomplish the state. Well, you can take out state. There's no state in the Tibetan, but I will accomplish the unsurpassed Samantabhadra, that is primordial Buddha. That is complete Buddhahood, to meaningfully benefit others. I would say that looking out there on the television screen here and in the room, I don't know anybody, any one of you, really, maybe a few I don't know too well, but I would say all of you there, do really meaningful things for beings. I'm actually amazed. I look around and go, wow, you're really beautiful beings, loving and compassionate. So that's a fantastic foundation. And some of you have had the most extraordinary lives of helping others. This meaningfulness is, what do you do about the roots that prevent the awakening mind from flourishing? That's different than being kind. That's different than being compassionate. And for that, you have to study and practice the Dharma. How do you bring beings to liberation when every single message around is saying, don't do it? You could be happy. Don't do it. Right? And of course, as the Venerable His Eminence Alton Rinpoche said before a Mahamudra retreat and teachings of Mahamudra instructions, he said, this Mahamudra, Buddhahood, is not about being happy. He said, let's get one thing straight before we start. It's not about being happy, and it's not about being sad. So liberation. The equanimity, states come and go. The equanimity is never losing sight that there is an unborn nature that's absolutely free, whether you're happy, sad, sick, dying, anything else, or all kinds of mayhem going on around you. That's the realization. So how are we going to make our life incredibly meaningfully benefit for self and others? All conditioned, as they say in many texts, all conditioned phenomena, us, everything, except for the nature of mind, which isn't a thing, is impermanent. It's going to fall apart. It's going to break up. If it gets born, it's going to die. If it gets formed, it's going to fall apart. That's the fact. All the ones we care for are going to pass away. We're going to pass away. That we don't know when, but that's the case. So count your blessings every minute or every second. That you got, and what are you going to do with this precious life that we don't know how long it's going to be? Is realize how difficult it is, understand the emptiness, luminosity, how it can help awaken many beings. So, what is the solution to impermanence? Wake up. Wake up and realize the unborn. Wake up to realize emptiness, luminosity, which is not subject to impermanence, called deathlessness, because it can't die. Your mind, which isn't your mind, but mind, can't die. It's not impermanent. It doesn't get born. It doesn't die. That's what we want to discover. And we want to abide in that more and more and more. So it's a great opportunity. Number 3, cause and effect. As we are conditioned beings, with relative conditioned consciousness, We must awaken through that by studying cause and effect really deeply. Where do we start? In terms of wisdom, we start with the three roots, wholesome roots, the three unwholesome roots, the three wholesome roots. That's where we start, which of course leads to ethics, the precepts, and virtue. And if we're going to be skillful beings, of which many of you out there, I would say all of you are quite skillful beings, we need to understand that all beings grow and flourish and ripen through causal means. Again, just like yesterday's metaphor, just like a garden, you need to look at those plants. You need to go and examine those plants and go, what's wrong with you? What do you need? Tell me, right? Do you need some more fertilizer? Do you need less fertilizer? Do you need some water? Yeah. Do you need repotting, replanting? Yeah. Maybe more sun, less sun? Yeah. This also means, with cause and effect, we must examine, as Venerable Alter Rinpoche says, from now until Buddhahood, it's going to be mind training. Get used to it. We need to keep training our minds. Not only do we need to purify our minds, we need to keep training our minds. It's not easy. We are built a conceptual framework like a hall of mirrors that we think is real, which is millions of dancing concepts, right? They're not ours. And we're bouncing around the walls in them. Yeah. And we're going to have to study this. That means we're going to have to slow down. We're going to have to look at our minds and see how our minds create impulses, how it affects the body, and our thoughts, and our speech. All of our speech is our mind. See? Wouldn't that be lovely to have Buddha speech? Wouldn't it be lovely to have Buddha body? Wouldn't it be lovely to have Buddha mind? That everything that emanates from mind, everything that emanates from speech, everything about the body is actually emanating Dharma, which liberates beings whether they know or not, like a waving prayer flag, right? When the prayer flag gets blown in the wind, all the syllables travel, and every once in a while they land on a being or they get swallowed, and the next thing you know is 20 years later they arrive at a Dharma class, or they pick up a Dharma book, or they meditate. It's quite extraordinary. I know people who now went to a Dharma class because they saw a prayer flag. Isn't that amazing? They told me. We saw a prayer flag. Years later, we wanted to find out what that was. Went to a Dharma talk. Amazing. Okay, I have here written down just a point for you today. Cause and effect is about creating the best nourishing circumstances in your life and the people you love around you to flourish and grow in Dharma. That doesn't mean that every food you eat must be organic. That doesn't mean that your bed must be exactly this, and that you must have this and this and this and this. So it's very confusing today what you need, what you must have, what you must abandon. I think you could go online and find every view and possibility of how you should act, how you should be, how you should relate, how you should talk, everything. Good luck. That's all I can say is good luck. One's going to have to sort this out with wise beings, by simplicity. My goodness, was that something? Being in a cabin, cooking simply for a month, sometimes just a bit of rice, chop up some vegetables, steam them, saute them, away we go. Oh, glory. Who knows? Even hearing the Dharma teachings from different teachers can be really confusing. I know beings, they quote one thing, and what about that? Oh, what about that? Oh, I don't know if they mentioned that. Yeah, okay. So cause and effect, one of the greatest things we'll be studying for the rest of our lives. Number 4, faults and difficulties of samsara. What's wrong with samsara? Has anybody noticed those that are over the age of maybe 15 or 16? None of you. Have you noticed that things are inherently difficult? And kind of no matter what you do, what system you set up, what policy you set up, what financial system, what harmonious group of people you bring together, with the great ideals, maybe a wonderful government department or a government program, whatever it is, can all be brought down and shaken, erased, rubbed, frictionized through what? Greed, hatred, and delusion. That fast, including us. So, would you say that every relationship is easy? No. Would you say that marriages and family and clans and cultures and countries and governance is easy? No. Will it ever be? No. So as long as there is greed, hatred, delusion, which is in all beings, which of course there is generosity and there's loving kindness and there's clarity for a moment. It's wonderful. But unless greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy is purified to the depths, I just love the term used in Chenrezig every once in a while. The stir of samsara's pit. Do you like that? There's actually a treasure text. There's an empowerment called Red Chenrezig, Stir of Samsara's Pit. You think, oh, it's so peaceful. Oh, you have to stir right down into the pit. Oh, there is someone under the age of 16. Barely. Deep down, right? To purify and liberate and see the empty nature and really purify all the channels, the winds, get to free up this greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy. Yeah. Our lives can go from heaven to hell in a few moments, days, months, years. And by the way, it will. So life is absolutely wonderful. I find it amazing. I find it glorious. I find beings absolutely, all beings, absolutely lovely, extraordinary. But it is so difficult. Samsara is so difficult when the mind wanders to attachment and wanders through the 5 poisons. That's all it is. Like a hall of mirrors of 5 poisons with every once in a while, depending on training and accomplishment, generosity, loving kindness, compassion, clarity, and wisdom. So, not being negative, just the Dharma is about fact. Yeah. And they call that bewilderment, confusion, bewilderment, again like in a hall of mirrors, wandering around, or a labyrinth, wandering around, trying to find a way out and bumping off the walls by attachment. So it's okay when it's going well, but take a look, study your history, study all sentient beings on this planet right now, and add up the numbers, go travel, go see, and see how many beings are doing okay. There's lots of beings doing okay, many aren't. Year after year, day after day, they struggle really hard, including depression. It's high, it's difficult. Many beings don't have clean water. There's 10 million people right now on this planet. That's a low estimate. That's an official scientific estimate. There's 10 million people minimum dying this year due to air pollution. 10 million. We don't think that's a problem. It's okay. 5,000 in Canada are going to die just because of air pollution alone. If you add up the numbers, you'll see billions and billions of sentient beings, trillions struggling. Take a look through a microscope. See how many beings are struggling, how many are dead, dying, infected. So, it's not all rosy. So I remember the words of Namjin Rinpoche in a class about suffering, and he always taught so much about wonderment and amazement to bring beings up and to actually see what's going on. It is, when you're free. But I never forgot the words. Get real, Mac. Go study suffering. It's really hard. Yeah, I remember that. Get real, Mac. So the entire path is, including whether it's Theravada, Mahayana, or Vajrayana. It's just brought out more in Vajrayana, but it's actually in the Nibbana Sutta. Go read the Nibbana Sutta sometime, look it up. Beautiful. Right? What is it? The entire path of liberation is removing the fabrications of mind. That's it. That's Mahamudra Dzogchen. Removing, finding all fabrications, all bindings, all holdings, and unbinding, including greed, hatred, delusion, pride, jealousy, and every single conceptual view that one holds for the benefit of all sentient beings. And that is compassion. Why? All of you are in this being. I am reflecting in you. You're part of me. Right? Great love means going out there and caring for beings. What kind of care would you like to give beings? You're all very caring beings. Okay. Well, that was a quick run through, but let's read through this one, this prayer, as this excellent body of mind with leisure endowments will be difficult to obtain in the future. Right now, I will accomplish the state of the unsamassed Samantabhadra that is full enlightenment to meaningfully benefit others. Also, it's not certain when the hateful enemy of this present precious body, the Mara of death, will arrive. Death is uncertain. I and other beings are impermanent, the time of death being uncertain, since there is no opportunity for happiness wherever one is born in samsara. That happiness means ultimate happiness. That means nibbana. Now, let's not get to Mahamudra Dzogchen. Yes, nibbana and samsara are the same nature. They are. But don't start that way. You want to get out of samsara. How do you want to get it? Until you realize that samsara can't be got out of, you want to get out of samsara. Is there a samsara? Nah. There's no conditioned mind. It's empty. There can be no samsara. Could there be a nirvana? No, there's no place called nirvana. It's unconditioned. But before that, it's a really good idea to have some motivation to become awakened. And since a truly happy, that means a continuum happy existence was never found in samsara, will enter the path of nirvana. In order for this body with leisure and wealth to possess meaning, you're all wealthy, every single one of you. Even if you're not, millionaire. But yeah, millionaire, oh my God. But even all you billionaires out there, okay? Or hundreds of millions of dollars. I know it's out there. To possess meaning, you'll abandon the three non-virtuous poisonous afflictions, which is cause and effect. Develop diligence in virtuous actions for awakening, for liberation, for the care of beings, all beings, and protect the vows and commitments of the three doors of body, speech, and mind that we take in the Vajrayana tradition, tantric tradition. Good. Well, that was good. Just under an hour. So I refer you to more detail, filling in the gaps, fleshing it out if you wish. Spend some time in retreat reading the words of my perfect teacher, Jewel Ordinal Liberation. Sit quietly and go over and over and go and really study it, contemplate in your being. I think I've told this before, it's a wonderful story in the life story of Paltar Rinpoche, where he goes with a Lama attendant to visit this great Mahasiddha to get empowerments and tradition, a Dzogchen tradition. And they start, eventually, after all this chatting and so on, they start in on the preliminaries, the preliminary liberating instructions of this lineage, and Paltar Rinpoche and the Mahasiddha are just crying. They're sitting there and they're taking, it's so long. They're crying, they're weeping, they're just going, oh my God. And they haven't gotten past the four thoughts that turn the mind from samsara. And this Lama's going, when are you going to get to like the good stuff? I said, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. Yeah. So, as we come back to, well, let's do a little bit before we take a stretch or break. Let's enter into the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 4 divine abidings, the 4 divine abodes, or the 4 immeasurables. I'll give a little introduction, then we'll take a 10-minute break. Travis has kindly scanned for you a really beautiful, it's not a sutta, it's just a section in the body of the suttas called the Chitta Samutaya. It's Gotata, Venerable Gotata teaching to a householder, and I really like it. It's 2 pages, and it's got so much packed in there of the teaching, from the practice of the divine abidings right through to the description of unshakable liberation through the signless practice. So, an offering to you. What an amazing 2-page condensation of the entire path. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So it turns out, both in the tradition of sutta, well known, held in the Theravada tradition too, and mentioned, and Buddha, supposedly, I haven't read that, but the Buddha mentions it somewhere. The 4 divine abidings are not originally Buddha. Buddha didn't discover them. He borrowed them from previous traditions and put his own spin on them, if you wish, his own Buddha spin on them. But they're there, and they were actually considered, the 4 Brahmaviharas were considered a path of enlightenment in ancient India. So, as an introduction. So, what are these? Compassion. Again, these are English translations, remember that. Compassion, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy or rejoicing, and equanimity. They are so frequently relied upon. They take such a central place in Buddhist practice. And it's interesting, I just want to give you this as a bit of an introduction. It's interesting that from my reading, the teachings I've received, I guess just over 45 years now almost 50. Those who are scholars out there, maybe you can send me a note and say, no, not true, but I'm pretty fair to say that the attitude in most of Buddha's and Buddhist teachers is that the 4 Brahmaviharas are meditations that are non-transcendent. They're Brahma Viharas. They're not transcendent meditations. They're not of Buddha mind. They're not of Arahat mind. I've heard this many, many times. I've read this. They are, what's the word for it? They're never included in the wisdom meditations. They're not included as the Vipassana, penetrative Vipassana practices, even in the Mahamudra texts. But it's interesting that the teacher Padmadrupa, who's a student of Gampopa, considered that loving kindness, love, and compassion are innate to Buddha nature. Interesting, eh? And when it comes to his student Jitsum Sumgon in the Gonchig, one of the Vajra verses, let's see if I can quote it here. Yes, Jitsum Sumgon, who was considered by that current, I can't remember if it was the first Karmapa or second Karmapa, when he came to visit, said, Jitsum Sumgon to his students is a fully enlightened being, extraordinary being. But one of the Vajra verses of Jitsum Sumgon says, the four immeasurables are the essence of the Buddha's embryo, the Tathagata Garbha, of the fully awake nature and of Buddhahood. This is very, very different. It's the only instance I've ever found of that. And it actually ticked off a number of people, some of his Vajra verses. But the Gonchig is pretty radical. So you may say, oh, that's not radical. But actually, what he's saying is that loving kindness, compassion, rejoicing or sympathetic joy of beings, happiness, and equanimity are actually in the ground of liberation. They're in the path of liberation. They must be in the path of liberation, and they must be in the fruition. They are inherent in a fully awakened being. So in another place, and his student who wrote it down said, this is what a Buddha does all day. It illuminates through these four. That's what it does. So when you come to the Yangzab practice of Chenrezi, outer, inner, and secret, that's what you do all day, basically, is you learn to radiate infinitely with bodhicitta, with the wish to liberate all sentient beings. Yeah, that's what you do. You practice that, and you do different methods for doing that. So I just thought I'd bring that to you. You can find that if you want to look that up. That's the Vajra Statement 1.28. And it even says in the commentaries, others say that these are non-transcendental, but Jitsum Sumgon says, in fact, they're actually in the embryo, they're in the kernel of the mind quality of a fully awakened being in the Dharma Dhatu. Of course, if you want to understand this, the generation stage practices was also of many sadhanas, not all of them, but many, many sadhanas are having you realize that these qualities are inherent in a luminous, empty mind. If it's not there, there's something not right. Something's been missed. And of course, in the sixth stage of the Bodhisattva, that's where it really blossoms. In the sixth stage, the Bodhisattva is that purity gives rise to infinite love and the wish to liberate all sentient beings, which is inherent in the first Bodhisattva stage, but according to tradition and words of Namgyal Rinpoche, it only really explodes open in the sixth Bodhisattva stage. I think that's fine. And let's store up your questions for later. We're going to have a group practice near the end together. But let's take a 10-minute break and we'll come back to further explorations of this. That's good. Does she want to come over? Okay, let us resume. So we can say from where we left off with the statement, Vajra statement of Jitsum Sumgon, the great Jitsum Sumgon, that even though these qualities of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, rejoicing in other beings' happiness, and equanimity is innate to all sentient beings. All of you have it. I have it, right, time to time. But is it well developed? Is it clear? And is it fully blossomed? That's really the question. So of course, because it's so important, it is central to all Buddhist practice. I believe the Queenstown Dharma group asked me to speak about the 4 Brahma Viharas. So here we go. Just to let you know, there are detailed instructions, really detailed instructions of each of these practices in the not so detailed in the suttas, in the Buddha's sermons, but detailed practices you'll find in the oral, became written commentary, practice commentary, found in the Path of Freedom, the Vimuttimagga. Some of you are familiar with that, some aren't. I teach from that a lot. Later on there was a text written based on that called the Visuddhimagga, the Path of Purification, which is most people know. And all the Lamrim texts coming from India and written in Tibet all have extensive detailed instructions on these practices. So this is brief today. So you'll see that if you turn to this Gotata section, number 7, page 1325, which you have in the Chitta Samudaya. If one looks down here, you'll see that there's a very brief summary of these practices, and it's beautiful. It's so elegant, and that's about as elaborate as it gets in the suttas. And what Venerable Sir is the method by which these things are different in meaning and also different in phrasing. You can read what that is there. It's about liberation. Here, a bhikkhu dwells pervading 1 quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise, the 2nd quarter, the 3rd quarter, and the 4th quarter. Thus, above, below, across, and everywhere, and to all as to himself, he dwells pervading the entire world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, vast, exalted, which means beatific, usually the jhanas, absorption, measureless, without hostility, and without ill will. So that is exactly how it's done, and we're going to practice that in a bit. But the first thing you do is you establish loving kindness or compassion, or loving kindness, compassion, or rejoicing or sympathetic joy. Feel it. You have to literally physically, emotionally feel it pervade you. It's really important, especially in your heart, but pervade your body. It doesn't say in the heart, it's your body, or wherever your awareness is your heart. And the first thing you do is you pervade it in the front. And then to the side, the back, the left, above and below, and then eventually the 10 directions, and everything gets filled by a pervasive feeling. You'll know when it happens. It's beautiful. And it's best to start systematically. As the other texts say that are more detailed, start with your room. Start with the people in the room. Start with no people in the room. But just learn to fill the room. Just sometimes, like we do with, we should all do with mantra practice, mantra yoga. Fill the room with Chenrezi vibrations. You can feel it. Amitabha, Hevajra, Yamantaka. It doesn't matter. Just learn to fill that space until it's literally humming with that intent, that feeling. So if you go systematically, you don't miss areas. So that's why the front, the side. When we've practiced before, we've also done the intermediate cardinal directions, and that makes 10 directions, like it says in the text. And then that 10 directions means you're not missing behind you, and you're not missing to the left rear quadrant that you always tend to ignore just due to conditioning. But you get used to a field. And what you want to do is develop gradually until it's the house, until it is the field or the surrounding area, the whole island, let's say, of Galiano, or the whole South Island of New Zealand. We've done this many times before in New Zealand, and all of New Zealand. And of course, if you're a New Zealander, you'd ignore to your left. If you're facing north, you would ignore all of Australia if you're a New Zealander, by accident, of course. No, I'm just kidding. Culturally, but anyways, you would look to other places. They're smiling. That's a good sign. Actually, one's even laughing. Okay, two are laughing. That was worth it. Okay, so and then eventually holding, if you can, conceptually, of course it is, all the sentient beings on this glorious orb-like planet, and further, you keep going and going and going. And one day it will dawn on you that in fact it feels exactly so. It feels limitless, immeasurable, absolutely an amazing feeling of limitless loving kindness or compassion, loving kindness, compassion, and so on, and equanimity. These are really genuine experiences. So it says here, and then the next one it says, he dwells pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with compassion. Same method. A mind imbued with altruistic joy. Isn't that beautiful? Compassionate joy. With a mind imbued with equanimity. This beautiful balance where there's neither this nor that. Everything feels, the real word for it is in Pali is tadra majjata, is equanimity. Means total equal balance. No reactivity, not going here, not going there. And of course, anybody who's dwelling in equanimity, a tree can fall down, half your house can fall down, there could be an earthquake, and you're going, whoa! Not even the mind moves. So that's equanimity. May not be so compassionate sometimes, but anyways, maybe if it's an earthquake, you want to move pretty quickly. Again, it says vast, exalted, measureless, without hostility, without ill will. You see, it's in every one of those. This is called the measureless liberation of mind. Now, is this full liberation? Is this real liberation? It could be, you see. This is what's so interesting. Even in the sutta, you don't know really whether they mean signless liberation. Do they mean liberation of the afflictions? But later on they clarify it. So you see. And then the next one is liberation of mind by nothingness. Liberating what kind of mind? This is really important for all of you who study and practice Dharma. When it says liberation of mind, does it mean liberation of the conditioned mind, or does it mean discovering the liberative nature of the unconditioned mind? Okay, you'll see here. Getting to mind of nothingness, where you experience there is nothing at all. That's good. And then the next one at the bottom of the page, and what, Venerable Sir, is a liberation of mind by emptiness? It is emptiness of this self-experience, of what belongs to a self. This is me. This is called the liberation of mind by emptiness. What kind of mind? Conditioned mind. You can't liberate mind. You will never liberate mind. There's no mind to liberate. Anyway, no, but there's conditioned mind to liberate, but no matter how hard you try, you can't liberate that which is already liberated. And what, Venerable Sir, is the signless liberation of mind here with non-attention to all signs? Non-attention to even cool meditative experiences, or bad meditative experiences, or boring meditation, or no meditative experiences. Those are the real people that boast, when they come to see me for a meditation report. They say, they're really boasting of their attainment. They say, Lama, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening in retreat. I go, wow, you're doing really well. No, nothing's happening. So, but no, this doesn't quite mean that. signless liberation mind. Here, with non-attention to all signs, you're looking for that which cannot be conceived or sensed. A bhikkhu enters and dwells in the signless concentration of mind. This is called the signless liberation of mind. So this, Venerable Sir, is the method by which these things are different in meaning and also different in phrasing. I'll let you read that, and then it goes on to the destruction of the taints, or the poisons. And it says very clearly, cutting out the root, cutting off the root, this is liberation. So it's marvelous. Anyways, I give that to you to study, to read it 20 times, 30 times over a couple of weeks, and you'll go, whoa, what an amazing 2 pages. Now, I'm going to turn to something else. One of the oldest sections of the suttas, that one is too, but in terms of the Buddha giving discourse on loving kindness practice, is this: one abides, having suffused with a mind of loving kindness, one direction of the world, likewise a second, likewise a third, likewise the fourth, and above and below and around everywhere, to all as to himself he abides, suffusing the entire universe with loving kindness, with a mind growing great, lofty, boundless, and free from enmity and ill will. You see, it's almost the same phrase. So that's what you find in the sutras, and everything else after that is elaboration. And there's many places you can go to detail. Those who don't know, I always recommend this because it's one of my favorite all-time Dharma texts, is The Path of Freedom. It's about 1800 years old. It's very pithy. It's from the practice tradition in India, and there is a section on here on the practice of loving kindness, the 4 Brahma Viharas, and it has very pithy, detailed practice. Just use it. Now let's turn to the Vajrayana. Since so many of you are practicing the Mahayana Vajrayana traditions, let's turn to that. The switch over, especially in Vajrayana Mahayana, is this. And I'm going to quote from a tantra, the Savarodaya Tantra. Is listen to the difference of the 4 Brahma Viharas. And you can write this down if you have a pen. Maybe write this down, because it's and I'll also maybe get Travis put this on the chat box. But listen to this from the Samvarodaya Tantra. The resolve to benefit others is love. The resolve to benefit others is love, or loving kindness. To overcome the suffering of others is compassion. To overcome the suffering of others is compassion. I'll say that 3 times because some of us write slowly. I know I do. Otherwise you can never read your handwriting. To overcome the suffering of others is compassion. Next, to feel satisfaction about the happiness of others is rejoicing. To feel satisfaction about the happiness of others is rejoicing. And equality, or equanimity, towards all sentient beings is considered equanimity. So equality, which means evenness, singular taste, same ultimate nature. The equality towards all sentient beings is considered equanimity. And I go, wow, that is so utterly amazing, condensed a perspective. So here, loving kindness is not just the wish that you care for all sentient beings, but you have the resolve to be so interested in sentient beings, right? You want to benefit them. That's quite beautiful. How do I benefit that being? In which way can I benefit that being? I'm just making this a contemplation. I really think this is beautifully phrased, and you can keep working on it. To overcome the suffering of others is compassion. How do I help overcome that suffering, which is different than what could I just be of benefit? So, benefit could be food. Benefit could be education. Benefit could be a quiet atmosphere. Benefit could be a house or building something for somebody. But compassion is, how do you help them remove the constraints or the roots or the difficulties around the hindrances and obstacles to liberation? What's in the way? What's blocking that being? What can we do for them to remove the suffering, which when we come to Dharma is what's in the way to purifying greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy, and bringing about a heart, which means marrow, blood, of bodhicitta. To feel satisfaction about the happiness of others is rejoicing. Can one rejoice in the good things, the happiness of beings? And feel that, actually really pervasively feel that and spread that. And then this equality towards all sentient beings is, can you see that every single sentient being is on about the same thing? And there's not anybody in the room who really doesn't have the same issues and problems. They're just variations on a theme due to conditioning. Yeah. And when it becomes Vajrayana, Mahayana, what else? Every single mind is permeated with Buddha qualities. Every single experience that you have is actually permeated by Buddha qualities. It's inherently free. There's not a single obstruction anywhere. There's days and times when we feel that, yeah? There's obstructions, there's problems. But actually, every issue, every problem can be dissolved because they're empty. All causality is empty. All beings have the same equal nature. They're empty of any real substantial quality except for permeated by Buddha nature, which is emptiness, luminosity. Okay, I thought I'd bring you that. And of course, what's the intention? To bring about that realization of luminous, empty nature. Well, there's so much we could do, but let's take, my plan is we're going to take 15 minutes, approximately 15 minutes, to generate loving kindness and compassion and liberation for all sentient beings, in the front, to the right, behind, left, above and below, permeating everywhere. And I want all of you, I'm going to actually give you a refrain from the ancient times, the Theravada refrain, ancient times, which I think is so beautiful. I can't remember where I got it, but I know the part of the Pali, anyways. But I'll ask, maybe Travis can write this on the chat box. It's so beautiful. But I want you to get to the point in 15 minutes. I know you can all do this. Is a feeling like it's just an illuminated bubble radiating out in space with no limits, immeasurable. And every single sentient being is embraced by this wish for them to be happy and safe, at ease and free of suffering. So Travis, you could write in the chat box there for people. May all beings be happy and safe. Sukino wa kemano hontu. May all beings be at ease. That means well too, by the way, healthy. May all beings be at ease. Sabe sata bhavantu sukitata. May all beings be at ease. And then, may all beings be free of suffering. That about sums it up. I really like this one. That's good. Yeah, it's very, very ancient. So when we say sukitata or at ease, the word at ease here, sukitata, also means best, happy, glad, joyful, comfort, delight. That is delight in the mind that is very, very natural. So may all beings be happy and safe, may all beings be at ease, and may all be free of suffering. That is very beautiful. And so feeling that, actually feeling it, you can say it enough until you can feel it. And if you've been in retreat long enough, you can just feel it. You don't need to say anything. You just feel it and let it radiate. Let it radiate in the front, the right, behind, to the left, way above, below, until it's just a big, giant, illuminated bubble of feeling radiance encompassing all sentient beings. Okay, so let's do that for the next about 15 minutes. You can have your eyes open, your eyes closed. Doesn't matter. I'll start off and say it for a little bit, and then we'll just drop it away and let it just flood through the cosmos. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. May all be free of suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. May all be free of suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. May all be free of suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. And may all be free of suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. And may all be free of suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be at ease. May all be free of suffering. it's time to bring them out of their samadhi. Very, very deep. Okay, that's good. Thank you everybody for helping out all sentient beings. Of course, what we do in Vajrayana practices is that free of suffering becomes the wish for not just free of suffering, but all the qualities and attainment of full Buddhahood. That's the only difference. I do recall now where this comes from, if you want to find it, in all the writings of Lady Sayadaw. I'm pretty sure I remember now this particular refrain of these 3 lines comes from Lady, L-E-D-I, Lady Sayadaw of the early 19th century in Burma, who is a great Abhidhamma scholar and teacher, master of Samadhi, master of the jhanas. Took him 3 years, and of course one of the founders of the modern Vipassana movement, which he was absolutely instrumental in founding, which went to Mahasi Sayadaw and so on, Namgyal Rinpoche, myself. So that's, I'm pretty sure, where I found that. It's lovely. Now here's a possibility for some of you who've been practicing maybe for many, many years, is try to find the natural, unfabricated, loving kindness, compassion, rejoicing, and equanimity in the natural, easeful mind. So instead of generating it, just uncover it. And then once it's uncovered, see if you can keep uncovering it, discovering it, and blossoming it. So you may find that when the mind is unbound, really unbound, then you will find the seeds and the kernels and a way to open that up to this the empty nature, which is full of possibility, of a loving kindness that is empty in any aspects, kind of like a loving kindness that does nothing, a compassion that opens the doors by no effort. Anyway, it's just a little idea, hint. So I'll say thank you to the Queenstown Dharma Center community, to the trustees and my dear friends there. May we see you soon, and very happy to give these Zoom talks when it's possible. And may we all meet soon and share in the Dharma soon. And may you all have excellent, blazing awakeness for the benefit of all sentient beings. We'll say a very short dedication, aspiration. By the power of this strengthening activity, may there be the cessation of the defilements for all beings. May they have excellent relative happiness, good health, long lives. May all be imbued in infinity of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. May all quickly realize primordial awareness, the luminous empty ground, unborn and unceasing, the unity of emptiness and compassion as the most glorious gift for all. Sarvamangalam, Sarvamangalam, Sarvamangalam. Bye. Enjoy.